So remember that one challenge I did with Sonic Mania? No? I'm not surprised. It did not do well in performance. So doing the same rules and adding a few new ones, I will be doing the classic Sonic games. I will be splitting the series into 5 so that I have more time to relax and to work on other projects. With that out of the way, here is the Sonic the Hedgehog Ultimate Challenge. The rules! I will be using the Sonic Origins version of Sonic 1 because of the mirror mode and the quality of life improvements. We have to follow the 7 Chaos rules. No partner, which means Tails is out of the equation. No killing badniks. What counts as a badnik? If Sonic frees an animal and gains points, that counts as killing a badnik. I will still be doing the bosses, but that is it. No checkpoints. I can still hit them, I just can't use them as, well, checkpoints. I will be using mirror mode to hurt my level memory. No Chaos Emeralds, which in this game it's not that bad because they are useless in this game. No utilizing Sonic's abilities. This includes spin dashing and drop dashing. I can still roll off the slopes, but it is not recommended. And finally, I will only be able to use Sonic. With that out of the way, let's go fast. Green Hill Zone Act 1. Green Hill is, well, Green Hill. It took some time to get used to the fact that I'm going the other way, but it's not too bad. As for collecting Chaos Emeralds, those are useless in this game. And Sonic 1 came out before the spin dash became mainstream. And no checkpoints are not going to be that bad. As for killing a badnik, I have to be a little slower so I don't accidentally kill a badnik. This tube in particular is a little frustrating to deal with, and the neutrons are the most frustrating enemy in the zone. And those stupid flying badniks come out of nowhere. The crab meats are not much better. They have terrible spawn placements, so one recommendation is not to take the high path. But this act will be over quickly. But this act will quickly be over before it begins. Green Hill Zone Act 2. Now be a little more careful in this level because of the death pits, and more enemies, and some tight platforming. I will advise you to take the middle path this time. There are fewer enemies and more rewards. And the invincibility in this challenge sucks. You will want to be careful around vulnerable enemies. But this spike section is not too hard. And that is another level cleared. Green Hill Zone Act 3. Now here, I recommend taking the higher route. The tunnels can be scary because you have to be spinning while going down them. And you have no idea if you're gonna hit an enemy or not. But once you get to Robotnik, then this level's basically done. Just hit Robotnik a few times and he is down. This challenge is doing great. Maybe this should be another one of the does not deserve its own video series. Okay, take that back. Marble Zone Act 1. Now the zones after Green Hill are just mediocre at best. Here you have to be careful because of these caterpillars. And the reason why is because if you land in the middle of them, they will fall apart. Now, I will not count this as killing a badnik. If an animal drops out and it gives me points, then and only then does it count as a killing badnik. Other than that, that's another stage cleared. Marble Zone Act 2. Marble Zone as a whole is just waiting, more waiting, and more waiting. And it's just overall not fun. Even with these platforms that just move up and down. And that is some very patient lava. The bat badniks are really annoying because you have to time when you jump very well, and then you don't have to worry about accidentally killing a badnik. Thankfully, you don't have to worry about killing a badnik during breaking these bricks. And that's another act cleared. Okay, why is Act 3 always the worst act? Marble Zone Act 3. This act is not fun, since I can't use checkpoints as checkpoints. It makes the level much worse. The caterpillars are slow as always, the lava platforms are boring, and the timing for the bats makes me want to rip my hair off. Hope there aren't any more terrible badniks in this game. The worst part about the bats with the weight platforms is you have to carefully plan out your next move or else you will kill the bat badniks. But not too slow to the point where you will be crushed by the weight platforms, but not too fast to the point where you might get hit by spikes and fall all the way back down and have to try again, but with fewer rings. It was not fun. And the next boss was pretty easy. Took down Robotnik in no time, and that's another zone finally cleared. Spring Yard Zone Act 1. Okay, now we have a zone that is not too bad. Here you actually go fast. Sure, there are terrible crab meat placements, but that's not gonna change the fact that this zone is much better than Marble Zone. The only annoying thing are those stupid armadillo enemies. They just appear out of nowhere. But just be cautious for when they appear, and that's another stage cleared. Spring Yard Zone Act 2. Avoid the spike balls that just so happen to be spinning around at the speed of sound and sometimes very slow. Now you can just turn off your brain with these types of platforming sections, but overall this is not a very interesting level. And obviously that's another level cleared. Now this was not intended to be in the script, but silly soft locked. Spring Yard Zone Act 3. Now, like the last act, you can turn off your brain with these sections, avoid the spike balls, be careful around enemies, be patient, collect rings, go to the lower path, avoid the armadillo enemies, and you will make it to the boss. And once again, it's not that interesting. Maybe it does deserve a spot in the does not deserve its own video series. Unless if there's a level that is so ridiculous, it's just so bad to the point where... Okay, Labyrinth. Labyrinth Zone Act 1. This act introduces water. And as you know, water is Sonic's greatest enemy. But even the water, the thing that slows Sonic down and is very stressful to keep Sonic alive, even with a supply of air bubbles. And the worst enemy in this entire challenge are this enemy. It's apparently called a Burrowbot. Okay, the Burrowbots. Go burn in hell. These enemies jump when you get close to them. and they can jump randomly, and one incorrect input and you have to restart the level. And to make things worse, because we have to move slower in this challenge, this means that the water levels in this game will be hell. And I do not want to go to the normal route, so I decided to take some time to execute the top route. But even then, there's a crap ton of enemies, and I could not do anything about it. But that is just 1 act of 3 cleared. Labyrinth Zone Act 2. Now this act is not any better. There is not really a secret route. You just have to hope that where you're going is the quickest route. And there's a lot of the robots, which makes me want to strangle them even more. However, there is a little secret if you correctly approach them. Then time it, then they will not bother you, which will take some time to get used to. The water in this level is just stressful as always, and the chompers underwater force you to carefully plan out your next move, or you will kill them. And this is made even worse because of the lack of checkpoints, and it is just not fun. Be careful at the end, and that is another act cleared. Labyrinth Zone Act 3. Now this is the worst one out of the Labyrinth acts, and the lack of checkpoints makes me cry. The same enemy kept screwing me over and over again. The water does not make it any better than usual, and the spike ball enemies require patience. But what separates the other 2 acts to this one is the final stretch of this level. The robots appear when you are trying to climb this wall, and it is difficult to avoid them. And you thought that was bad? Wait until you get to the boss. You have to be careful because if you die, you have to start over this level. But you can't wait too long because the water will catch up to you and you will drown. But after many tries, I finally beat this boss and the stupid zone. Thank gosh. I do not want to do Labyrinth Zone again. Finally, a zone that is not Labyrinth Zone. Starlight Zone Act 1. This zone has very chill vibes. The lack of checkpoints is not a big deal, and the enemies are hard to kill, so this feels like a normal playthrough. Just be a little careful, and this stage is already done. Starlight Zone Act 2. Sure, the fans are annoying, but it's still better than Labyrinth Zone. The seesaw platforms are fine, and the enemies once again are hard to kill. Those being the spike balls, badniks, and the bombs, which commit suicide. So I don't count this as killing a badnik, but just like that, this act is already done! Starlight Zone Act 3. Just like the last 2 acts, it's a breather level from Labyrinth. Now here, the seesaws are more used to their advantage. You can't really kill any enemies, and it is just chill. We are already at the boss, take down Robotnik, and this zone is already over? Guess when you have a fun time, time goes faster. Oh well. Let's just move on to Scrap Brain Zone. Scrap Brain Zone Act 1. Here we are, the final zone in the game. Now every challenge throughout this journey has led up to this point. Most of the badniks will be in this level, and whatever you do, do not take the lowest path. Once you get to the end, you can't pass this ball hog. So be precise with your platforming, and plan your jumps, get the items you can, and be careful, so you can maintain the high ground. and you will not interact with many enemies. And once that is done, you just have to platform more until you make it to the end. Just avoid badniks, and that's another act cleared. Scrap Brain Zone Act 2. Now that we are in the depths of Scrap Brain Zone, be very careful. Thankfully, there are not many badniks here, but you can easily move around and avoid the walls and saws while on a conveyor belt. And just really try not to die, because it's not that fun to repeat the act. But overall, it was not that bad, and we made it to the goal. Now that we have approached Robotnik, he pushes a button and sends us to the abyss. I am so excited. Oh, come on! Dr. Ivo Robotnik, you evil son of a... Labyrinth Zone Act 4, also known as Scrap Brain Zone Act 3. Now I have no time for another Labyrinth level, so I'm taking the shortcut, and it helps, especially with this challenge. And once again, my greatest enemy in this challenge emerges once again. Water. Sure, it was a struggle to deal with the not-so-long breath time and the immense slowdown, but there emerges another enemy, one so evil, one so vile, and does not care, and that is the Burrobots. I grabbed my rings and climbed this final wall, only to see our last challenge, the last Burrobot. This will be the greatest battle of all. Huh. Oh well, at least I cleared this stupid act. Final Zone! Now this is really the final battle between good versus evil. This will be the hardest part of our journey. And just like that, we have defeated Dr. Robotnik, and we kicked his Eggmobile one last time, and Sonic runs back to Green Hill Zone and celebrates. Oh yeah, Robotnik has the emeralds. Oh well, they just spawn to Sonic in the very next cutscene anyways. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Sonic the Hedgehog Ultimate Challenge. Now that we have defeated Robotnik, it is time to answer the question. Can you beat the Sonic the Hedgehog Ultimate Challenge? Yes, you can! And I recommend this challenge to all of those viewers who are out there and are willing to do Labyrinth Zone. But anyways, thank you for watching, and I will release the Sonic CD Ultimate Challenge next month. Have a good day, and I'll see you next month. Do 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 do.